Now, the next body type is the ovary body type. This is it right here. See this body type? Look where they gain the weight, lower part, in the hips, thighs. That's estrogen dominance. Take a while to guess why you don't see very many men that look like that. They don't have ovaries. Very good. So the ovary will outproduce too much estrogen. The estrogen makes fat around the superficial from here down. It will also make your arms get big and the breasts get big. I had one patient, she was so estrogen dominant, she became a size H. I didn't even know it goes that high. I thought D, double, triple D was the highest. Let's see, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Yeah, that's estrogen dominance. How do you know if you're estrogen dominant? If you look like that, and also you have heavy periods, cramping, PMS, all that. Guess what that's going to do? It's going to make a fibroid. I see so many women with fibroids. It's estrogen dominance. So what's the solution? Cut it out? I mean, they're not doing anything. There are foods that you can eat right now that will balance estrogen. It's called the cruciferous vegetable. Cruciferous vegetables are like kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, all the foods that no one eats. Those are very estrogen. They clean up the estrogen. They balance it and the chemicals. Thank goodness we have those foods in our diet, if we ever eat them. But mainly people cook the heck out of them, don't they? So estrogen dominant will cause anything wrong with the cycle. Heavy periods, headaches that time of the year, month, cravings that time of the month, PMS. How many of you know people that are PMS? Okay. I can see the husbands are not like, they're like, no, I'm just kidding. So you have all these different issues that happen that time of the month if it's cyclic, because the hormones go on waves, just like all these circadian waves. Fertility, infertility, because estrogen. You know what's really amazing? Things, you have this estrogen dominant patient, and guess what they give them? Birth control pills. What the? It's the exact opposite thing. You're going to put them more in estrogen dominance. What food should they stay away from? Soy. Why? Because soy is very estrogenic, and the soy that's in America is not the same that's in other places. It's not fermented. It's like, it's just soy powder. It's soy protein isolates. What does that do? It's going to grow tumors in your liver, in your where else? In the ovaries, in the uterus. It'll grow tumors. It's very tumor producing. Yeah, I see it all the time. There were even some men that came in that were drinking so much soy milk they started lactating. That was enough for me to cut it completely out of the diet. But estrogen is very, very bad for the liver, and it's in a lot of foods, isn't it? It's genetically modified. It's almost 100% genetically modified in the U.S., and that means they alter the structure. So there's a lot of unknowns right now. There's no studies. So it doesn't have to be on the label, too, to be genetically modified. They could just stick it in there. So you have soy. It's also in a lot of prepackaged foods, a lot of diets. Yeah, isn't it interesting? The stuff that causes estrogen is in these diets. Why do they use it? Because it's so cheap. It's so cheap. I made a kale shake with, I was going to put some protein, and the guy that was helping me develop the formula, he says, oh, you got to put some soy in, it's really cheap. I'm like, I'm not going to put that in there. That's going to like kill people. So I put spirulina. That's like a vegetable, a sea vegetable. So it has some egg white, organic egg white in kale. But the point is that you don't want to do a lot of estrogen with that, because you want to make sure if they're doing meats and dairy that they have organic, hormone-free. This body type craves dairy. They like ice cream, cheese, yogurt. It's wild. They're trying to get some hormones in there to try to balance something because they're out of balance. It won't ever work, though. So they have a lot of issues with that. And then when they get to be age 52, the ovaries stop working, okay? But guess what? You have a backup organ. Here's the ovaries. The adrenals are little triangles on top of the kidney. These start doing the work. So now, if the adrenal glands are weak going into menopause, you're going to overload those things, and now this is going to do all the work. And so now you're going to have all sorts of problems with hot flashes, night sweats, okay? Does anyone have a hot flash? Okay. So hot flashes are basically a short circuit in the electrical system of your body that's just kind of like, it's blowing that heat right there. Someone's having a hot flash right now. So that would be hot flashes. So this body type ends up looking like this body type after menopause. So what am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to give you a clue that you better do something now before it's too late. Now, some of you in your mind, you're thinking, wow, I'm a mixed body type. I'm everything, right? You always have a primary. Too much estrogen will block the thyroid. That's why when you get pregnant, you might end up with a thyroid problem, because the excess estrogen will block this and then create all sorts of problems. Many borderline thyroid cases need to take thyroid medication when they're pregnant because of the spike of estrogen. So all these things work together. If the liver is bad, which we're going to get to next, your thyroid can't work. Your thyroid needs that liver to convert. Like 80% of all the activation of that hormone occurs through your liver. So I had a lady, she came in, she did the wrong diet for her body type. She did the high protein diet, okay? She was a liver type. Liver types should not do high protein diets, okay? What happened, she lost weight, but she also lost all of her hair. Well, she had 2 gray hairs. She had a wig, a very nice wig. And she came in and she said, Dr. Berg, you gotta help me. I'm like, okay, what's going on? She goes, look at, I was like, okay, yes, we need to work on that. So I said, what happened to you? She goes, I just did this diet, I lost all my hair. I said, bingo, you mess with your liver and then it blocked the thyroid. Now here's the problem. She was gonna get married, okay? Her husband, future husband, had no clue she was completely bald. Okay, that's the situation, wouldn't you agree? It's like the honeymoon night. Honey, now that we're married, surprise! And you're like, and then he pulls off his toupee. I think there was like a movie where you can pull off your arm and your leg. And, so I worked on her. I do a technique which works on old stress. It's an acupressure, not puncture. And we worked on her and worked on the liver. And she got her hair back in 3 weeks, tiny little hair. She came back. She was real happy, got married, never told him. Went great. Yeah. So these hormones have dominating things, dominating power to do certain things. When you actually age, when you go from 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, okay, hormones change. Metabolism slows down. Would you agree with that? You can't keep doing the same thing with the calorie counting. You have to look at the hormones in relationship to the triggering of the fat-burning hormones. I'm going to show you something before I get to the next body type real fast. Hormones. There are 3 dominating hormones that, if present in small amounts, will completely block and cancel all the fat-burning hormones, okay? In other words, you have 2 things. You have things that you should avoid, and you have things that you should do. The things that you should avoid are much, 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 much more important than the things that you should do. It's the little stuff, okay? So let's take this one. The first one is called insulin. Insulin is a hormone that regulates sugar. It decreases sugar. It's triggered by sugar. So every time you eat sugar, it spikes the insulin, okay? Then you become a diabetic, and then sugar goes high. It doesn't go down, so you have to take insulin. In the presence of just a little tiny bit of insulin, it can cancel out and completely destroy all the good stuff that you did. So let's just make this real. Let's take a cookie, 80 calories. You can walk that off in about a mile, but the sugar in that one cookie will block fat burning for 72 hours if you have a slow metabolism, like most people do. A half a glass of orange juice, a glass of wine, unless Dr. Oz told you to do it. Which I'm just being sarcastic because I'm I'm like, wine is alcohol, it's sugar. It's like, it's going to completely block you. So we got insulin, right? It's the little stuff that's going to really mess you up. So we have to give you substitutes for the thing you crave. I already know a habit is almost impossible to break. So we don't want to take all the pleasure away from you in life. We want to tweak it. So there's things you can eat. Brownies, for example, that have no sugar, no flour. And you can eat those. You just have to know how to make them. When we have the recipes, we can give you, and you can actually have it in the refrigerator and go for that every night, or when you like that. Number 2, cortisol. Too much cortisol, that's the stress. You're not going to lose weight. And how do you get rid of stress? Sleeping, walking. I teach people to do an acupressure technique, which basically pulls the stress out. You do it before bed, and you just get into a good sleep, and it extracts the old stress. So cortisol will block fat burning. That's why you have, like, when you have physical trauma and then you have loss of a loved one or a divorce, whatever, that will hit the adrenal 1,000 times harder than a physical trauma. That's why you have people that, like, after like this major event, they're just like, they never recover. That's why you get autoimmune diseases like lupus, MS. They all come after losses. Okay? So then we have the last hormone that makes you fat is called estrogen. Remember all those hidden sources of estrogen? It's in the hormones. In Europe, people are thinner than Americans. In America, we got girls going through their menstrual cycle a lot earlier, larger breasts. Kids are fatter. You might say it's a lot of different things, but I think the hormones are really messing us up. Now, do you guys realize that turkeys are fed hormones? That's why they're bigger. They're huge, right? They can grow them fast. If you consume the turkey that's been injected with a hormone, is it possible that some of that residue can get in your body? Yes. If it makes a turkey a butterball turkey, is it possible it can make a butterball out of you? A butterball turkey out of you? Welcome to America. You're in the wrong country at the wrong time. So some of these poor countries, they're really rich in nutrients, but they come here and they just get fat. I see it all the time. They move to America. I'm like, you were doing fine until you moved here. Welcome to Virginia. So we have to eat and understand how to fortify our hormones, okay? So if you're enjoying this content, go ahead and share it with someone that could really benefit from it.